Day 274, Return, Nehemiah 4-5, Esther 1-2, Proverbs 20 verses 27-30. Let's begin. Nehemiah 4:5. Now it happened that, when Sanballat had heard that we were building the wall, he was very angry. And having been moved exceedingly, he ridiculed the Jews. And he said before his brothers and a crowd of the Samaritans, "What are the foolish Jews doing? Can it be that the Gentiles will allow them? Will they sacrifice and finish in one day? Do they have the ability to make stones out of piles of dust that have been burned up?" Then too, Tobiah, an Ammonite, his assistant, said, "Let them build. When the fox climbs, he will leap over their stone wall. Listen, O our God, for we have become an object of contempt. Turn their reproach upon their own head, and grant that they may be despised in the land of captivity. May you not conceal their iniquity, and may their sin not be wiped away before your face, for they have ridiculed those who are building." And so we built the wall, and we joined it together, even to the unfinished portion. And the heart of the people was stirred up for the work. Now it happened that, when Sanballat, and Tobiah, and the Arabs, and the Ammonites, and the Ashdodites had heard that the walls of Jerusalem had been closed, and that the breaches had begun to be repaired, they were exceedingly angry. And they all gathered together, so that they might go forth and fight against Jerusalem, and so that they might prepare ambushes. And we prayed to our God, and we stationed guards upon the wall, day and night, against them. Then Judah said, "The strength of those who carry has diminished, and the amount of material is very great, and so we will not be able to build the wall." And our enemies said, "Let them neither know nor realize until we arrive in their midst, and kill them, and cause the work to cease." Now it happened that, on 10 occasions, some Jews arrived who were living near them, from all the places from which they came to us, and they told us this. So I stationed the people in order, in places behind the wall, all around it, with their swords, and lances, and bows. And I gazed around, and I rose up. And I said to the nobles, and to the magistrates, and to the rest of the common people, "Do not be afraid before their face. Remember the great and terrible Lord, and fight on behalf of your brothers, your sons and your daughters, and your wives and your households." Then it happened that, when our enemies had heard that it had been reported to us, God defeated their counsel. And we all returned to the walls, each one to his own work. And it happened that, from that day, half of their young men were doing the work, and half were prepared for war with lances, and shields, and bows, and armor. And the leaders were behind them in all the house of Judah. As for those building the wall, and carrying the burdens, and setting things in place, one of his hands was doing the work, and the other was holding a sword. For each one of the builders was girded with a sword at the waist. And they were building, and they were sounding a trumpet beside me. And I said to the nobles, and to the magistrates, and to the rest of the common people, "The work is great and wide, and we are separated on the wall far from one another. At whatever place you hear the sound of the trumpet, rush to that place for us. Our God will fight on our behalf. And so let us accomplish the work. And let 1/2 part of us hold spears, from the ascent of dawn until the stars come out." Also at that time, I said to the people, "Let each one with his servant remain in the midst of Jerusalem. And let us take turns, throughout the night and day, in doing the work." But I and my brothers, and my servants, and the guards who were behind me, we did not take off our clothes, each one only removed his clothes to wash. And there occurred a great outcry of the people and their wives against their brothers, the Jews. And there were those who were saying, "Our sons and our daughters are very many. Let us receive grain as a price for them, and then we may eat and live." And there were those who were saying, "Let us offer up our fields and vineyards, and our houses, and then we may receive grain during the famine." And others were saying, "Let us borrow money for the tribute of the king, and let us surrender our fields and vineyards." And now, as is the flesh of our brothers, so is our flesh, and as are their sons, so also are our sons. Behold, we have subjugated our sons and our daughters into servitude, and some of our daughters are slaves, nor do we have the ability to redeem them, for others possess our fields and our vineyards. And when I had heard their outcry in these words, I was exceedingly angry. And my heart considered within me. And I rebuked the nobles and the magistrates, and I said to them, Have you each been exacting usury from your brothers? And I gathered together a great assembly against them. And I said to them, As you know, in accord with what was possible for us, we have redeemed our brothers, the Jews, who had been sold to the Gentiles. And yet you now sell your brothers, and we must redeem them? And they were silent, nor did they find anything to answer. And I said to them, The thing that you are doing is not good. Why are you not walking in the fear of our God, so that there may be no reproach against us from our enemies, the Gentiles? Both I and my brothers, with my servants, have lent money and grain to many. Let us agree not to ask for its return. Let us forgive the other money that is owed to us. On this day, restore their fields, and their vineyards, and their olive groves, and their houses to them. Then, too, the 100th part of the money, and of the grain, wine, and oil, which you usually exact from them, give it to them. And they said, We will restore it, and we will require nothing from them. And we will do just as you say. And I called the priests, and I had them swear an oath, so that they would act in accord with what I had said. Moreover, I shook out my lap, and I said, So may God shake out every man, who does not fulfill this word. From his house and from his labors, so may he be shaken out and become empty. And the entire multitude said, Amen. And they praised God. Therefore, the people acted in accord with what was said. Now from that day, on which the king had ordered me to be governor in the land of Judah, from the 20th year even to the 32nd year of King Artaxerxes, for 12 years, I and my brothers did not eat the yearly allowance that was owed to the governors. But the former governors, the ones who had been before me, were a burden to the people, and they took from them bread and wine, and 40 shekels of money each day. And their officials also oppressed the people. But I did not do so, out of fear of God. In fact, I preferred to build in the work of the wall, and I bought no land, and all my servants were gathered to do the work. Likewise, the Jews and the magistrates, 150 men, were at my table, with those who came to us from among the Gentiles that are around us. Now there was prepared for me, on each day, 1 ox and 6 choice rams, along with poultry. And once every 10 days, I distributed diverse wines and many other things. Yet I did not require my yearly allowance as governor, for the people were greatly impoverished. Remember me, O my God, for good, in accord with all that I have done for this people. Esther 1:2. In the 2nd year of the reign of Artaxerxes the Great, on the 1st day of the month of Nisan, Mordecai the son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish, of the tribe of Benjamin, a Jewish man who lived in the city of Susa, a great gentleman, and among the first ones of the king's court, saw a dream. Now he was one of a number of captives, whom Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon had carried away from Jerusalem with Jeconiah king of Judah. And this was his dream: voices appeared, and confusion, and thunders, and earthquakes, and a disturbance upon the earth. And behold, there were 2 great dragons making preparations against one another for battle. And at their cry all peoples rushed forth to fight against the nation of the just. And that was a day of darkness and division, of tribulation and anguish, and there was an unnatural dread over the earth. And the nation of the just was disturbed, fearing their own evils, and was prepared for death. And they cried out to God, and from their loud crying, a little fountain grew into a very great river and overflowed into many waters. The light and the sun rose up, and the humble were exalted, and they devoured the illustrious. When Mordecai had seen this, and he arose from bed, he was considering what God might want to do, and he kept it fixed in his soul, desiring to know what the dream might signify. Now he was staying at that time in the king's court with Bagatha and Thurah the king's eunuchs, who were porters of the palace. And when he realized their thoughts, and had diligently paid close attention, he learned that they were attempting to cast their hand against King Artaxerxes, and he reported this to the king. Then the king had both of them questioned, and when they confessed, he ordered a sentence of death. But the king had what had happened written in the commentaries. And even Mordecai handed over the memory of these things into writing. And the king instructed him to remain in the court of the palace, having given him this position for the information. In truth, Haman the son of Hammedatha the Begian had great honor in the eyes of the king, and he wanted to harm Mordecai and his people because of the 2 eunuchs of the king who had been executed. Proverbs 20 verses 27 through 30. The spirit of a man is a lamp to the Lord, which investigates all the secrets of the inner self. Mercy and truth guard the king, and his throne is strengthened by clemency. The joy of youths is their strength, and the dignity of old men is their gray hairs. The bruise of a wound, as well as scourges, shall wipe away evils in the more secret places of the inner self.